Meanjin-based band DZ Deathrays is about to head out on their Weekend Warriors regional tour that will hit King Street, Newcastle on the 13th of March. The boys are currently recording some new tracks at the Grove Studios in anticipation of the tour. We spoke with Lachlan and Shane ahead of the show. Can you let us in a little bit on what's happening at the Grove at the moment? What have you been creating?
Well, essentially, last year we came here and recorded a few songs, like 5, I think, and so we're in the since then we've been kind of touring it a little bit, and we did our overseas tour, and then we have been sort of wanting to finish off a few more songs here. I don't know what this is going to end up being, if it's going to be an album or just songs, but I think we're trying to piece together something that feels like a record.
Nice.
But we're just kind of pretty casual about it. I feel like on our 7th record, we're just like, yeah, let's just record music, and then if it feels like it's an album, we can turn it into an album.
Yeah, okay. So is there much of a through line between what you're creating at the moment, in terms of influence or inspiration?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're kind of, it's always weird. I always kind of, whenever we're doing a record, I usually go back to early stuff that we've done and see kind of what sparks my interest in what we did when we were younger. We also did the Black Rat 10-year tour last year, and that sort of spurred on a bit of kind of got influenced by playing those old songs again. So there's a little bit of that in there, a little bit of sort of punk and sort of indie dance, a little bit of that, a little bit of I don't know, some bands you've been listening to that you're influenced by. I don't know. Viagra Boys.
Yeah, Viagra Boys.
Kind of sort of pulsating, pretty fast, rhythmic music. But yeah, I don't know. We just had a bunch of songs we wanted to record. And after last year, we put out, was it last year we put Riff out? No, the year before.
Yeah, year before.
The year before we put Riff out. And that just took so long to write over COVID and record it and then finally release it. We're let's just kind of go in and write, just get whatever we've got and sort of piece together over time and not feel pressured to have a record ready by a certain date.
Yeah, that'd surely make it a lot easier for yourselves. I'd love to know, when you're in recording, what are your go-tos when it comes to taking a break or, having a little moment out?
Well, usually here, there's a TV here, so we usually end up watching something really I always feel like Conan the Barbarian is on here. You know that old, is it Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah, then last time we were here, there was a lot of weird 80s movies that were just so bizarre.
Yes.
Yeah. And we just watching the most random shit. It's fucking hilarious.
But other than that,
Rage, I don't know.
Yeah, we just come and sort of, there's a balcony here, just go sit on the balcony. Usually there is a swimming pool and stuff here, but the last few times we've been here, it's always been raining, so we never end up back at the pool.
Yeah.
The first time, a decade ago when we first came out here, Simon and I spent a lot of time in the swimming pool and the hot tub. But yeah, it's more just hanging about, because we're only just starting the session now. We're still getting a drum sound in there at the moment.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, tonight we'll probably just start playing as a band and trying to get some takes down.
Awesome. Yeah, so speaking of 10 years ago, you're about to go on a 29-date tour, which is huge, covering heaps of regional areas. What do you have to do to prepare mentally and physically, compared to, touring 10 years ago?
Oh, I haven't prepared anything, but I think for touring in Australia is different to touring everywhere else. When we go to Europe, you kind of, you're in and you just go we're here for 2.5 weeks. We're going to do 12 shows or, whatever. And then sort of, you go through this thing where you're kind of warming up the first couple of shows, then you hit your rhythm. Then you have a little lull maybe towards the end. You're okay, now there's only 3 shows to go. And then you push through it and kind of, and it's usually weighted, you end up finishing in London or something where you have the bigger show. But in Australia, obviously you can't do that. So we kind of fly out. We do the shows, 3 shows, and then you fly home really tired. You have couple of days, you go back to work or whatever, and then you fly out again on Thursday. The last,
and you do that for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is in some ways kind of more grueling. But yeah, I haven't started thinking about preparing for it. All I've kind of started doing is like actually booking all the stuff and like trying to organize and get my head around how we're going to move, because we all live in different places as well. So like, how do we move people around to get to the same place from different locations? But yeah, I think the idea on this tour is that we're going to play kind of a different set, or at least try to play some different songs each time. So we've got so many records now, like, and our set's like an hour, so we can only fit so much in. So we'll try and swap it up like every night. So that's going to be cool, because that means we'll have to do a lot of like a fair bit of rehearsing beforehand, and then head around all these different songs and then sort of feel it out for each night.
Yeah, how are you going to curate the songs for like each location?
No, we'll probably just ask people what they want.
Yeah, cool.
I think that's the idea. I always wanted to have like a website that people could go on and click on the show and go put in a request. And so we knew it ahead of time, be like, all right, these are the top 15 songs that people have asked for. So that's what we're going to play tonight. Like it's your opportunity to go and vote. But I haven't figured out a way of doing that without hire someone to do coding. Yeah. Which, I mean, we could probably do it, but I think it would be just awesome, because then you actually know what the people who care, what they want, and then those people who come to the show and maybe get a surprise because they get to hear like a deep cut.
Yeah. So you've worked with some incredible artists in the past. I'd love to know, is there a dream collaboration that you'd love to do, or anything on the horizon?
Ooh, I don't know. What do you reckon? It's hard. Like, collaborating is like one of those things that kind of just happens when it happens. But dream collaboration. I mean, one of my favorite bands is Beach House, and I'd love to do like something with them.
Soul Wax.
I mean, Soul Wax. Soul Wax would be my dream collaboration. As them even just to do a remix of one of our songs, that would be my dream collaboration. But yeah, who else? I'd love to. There's so many options out there. Yeah. I don't know. Have you got anyone? You'd be just like Radiohead, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, that wouldn't really work, because it's totally different music. I didn't pick that.
Surely you can make it work. I can hear that happening. Tom York, if you're out there, hit us up.
Album.
I mean,
it'd be fun to do something like Amel and the Sniffers or something.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I know Amy does a lot of collaborating. It'd be cool to do stuff with them.
Trying to think.
Like our friends from Soft Play are coming out to Australia soon. I think it'd be really cool to like do a track with them at some point. Who else have we been? There's our friends. There's a band called Pabs who we toured with in Europe.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about doing like some sort of joint release, like a 7-inch or something. That would be really cool. They're based out of Berlin, and weirdly enough, I only found out about that band through like the internet. I think
Twitter.
It was like Twitter, or someone was tagging us in the same posts, and I was like, what is this band I keep seeing? They released a record around the same time as us. And I went and listened to their latest record. And I was like,
awesome.
This is, what the hell? This is like my perfect music. It's kind of like, so we went and hit them up and like, hey, you guys got dates coming up. And this is like just after sort of, was the end of 2023?
Yeah.
Yeah, and or 2024.
No, 23.
Yeah, 23. And we were like, hey, you've got these dates. Can we come and jump on those shows? They're like, really? You sure? And we're like, we haven't been to Europe in 4 years because of COVID. We just want to go back over and play shows, but we don't want to take the risk of, trying to book our own shows at the moment.
Yeah.
So they were like, really? And we ended up like hanging out with them for like 3 weeks, and it was such a good time and such an awesome band. So yeah, I'd love to do something with them.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about the pros and cons of touring the way that you're about to, which is like, weekend off and then, weekend on and week off. Can you kind of walk us through that, or maybe talk us through that compared to trying to cram it all into maybe 2 or 3 weeks?
Well, I mean, the pros are kind of based on the fact that in Australia you can't really play other than like Thursdays are even pretty hard now. But like Friday, Saturday nights are the nights, and then you've got a public holiday on a Monday. You can play the Sunday. That's kind of the pro of doing that. And also I guess the pro is that you kind of don't get too burned out doing 3 in a row and then you have days off. But then I think the con is that you sometimes can maybe lose a little bit of momentum having a few, like 3 days off, 4 days off. And I think the other one is that it's really expensive because you're always flying and you have to then hire cars different places. When you go to Europe, getting over there is expensive, but then once you're there, you kind of just get the van and you're in that van for the time, and then you do all the shows and then you leave. So it's a little, I don't know. It's just totally different. And I see bands come over to Australia all the time and they get rattled, especially because if they're like on a bigger level, they'll have to fly early because they have to be in a sound check at midday, or at least their crew will be there and then the band will be coming in at 3. So everyone's on these quite early flights, but then they're doing late shows the night before. And that type of touring, which is really common in Australia, is really foreign to a lot of other people, because anyone in America and that, you just have a bus or a van and you just drive them between states. It's its own little thing, I think, touring in Australia.
Yeah, that's intense. I didn't really think about that, about, doing a show the night before and then having to get up at the crack of dawn, and that not being just a common thing for everyone else around the world.
Yeah, especially for their crew. Like they're sort of getting out of there at 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning, getting to bed at 2, and then the lobby calls at 7 so they can be on a 9 o'clock flight, or 10 o'clock flight, and it's like you're not getting much sleep. But
So wild.
I guess they're pretty sure though.
Yeah, of course. Well, look, I want to leave you with one final question. I'd love to know, what are some of your fondest memories of Newcastle?
Newcastle. Had so many good times.
We doing a great show at the Cambo.
Yes.
For the Bloody City tour.
It was with clowns.
But I also remember rocking up to that venue, and every time we'd rock up, it would smell so bad. I was like, I don't understand how it's so smelly. And all the carpets are so sticky.
Yeah.
The last time we did there, we had to buy some incense because I was like, it's so stinky.
Yeah, literally.
I'm trying to think of the other shows. We did Bar on the Hill.
Oh, yeah.
1 year, and that was really good. I remember that being such an awesome show. I came back last year and played Bar on the Hill and I was playing guitar with June Rats, and that was really fun again. Like, it was an awesome, wild show. I feel like the people of Newcastle, they go hard. It's good.
It's
like just that far enough away from Sydney that it's like got its own identity. But there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like there's a common feeling in Newey at the moment where, like, when artists and musos do make the venture out to Newey, it's just even more special because, lots of people have been bypassing us lately. So it's even more exciting. Yeah.
Well, this is, I was sort of saying before to like some friends, it's like no one seems to be doing, not that many bands are doing the regional thing.
Yeah.
And even though Newcastle is a big place, it has an airport you can fly into, and I think it's really important. I think like bands need to do it. And the hardest thing is, I guess, for a lot of the shows, you might be going into it up until 2 weeks before going, I don't know if anyone's even going to be at this show. And then 2 weeks before, it starts picking up, and then like the week of, and then the last couple of days.
That's probably the only bad thing about regional shows is they don't buy tickets until the last minute. So you're trying to do a budget and you're like, oh, should we do it? Or, fail? Yeah, but that's actually a thing I think that really scares other bands off from doing it, is because they don't know if they'll have any sort of market there, or if they'll be able to, kind of make it work. But I think the more that bands do it and they kind of build, build that thing where this is the thing that happens, then other bands will, obviously other people will do that for other bands and kind of pre-buy a bit earlier. I also think you need to start doing the regional thing earlier in your career, because otherwise a lot of bands that blow up in the cities and they go play a show in regional and it's not as good as the cities, and why would we do this again? And they get turned off it because it's not as good as the city. So you got to work at it.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
you know, I grew up in a regional centre in Queensland, and no one really came through except for Friends Are Wrong.
Yeah.
And Super Jesus. They were the bands that came through that Jebediah came.
No Gurge?
No Gurge.
Well, they have Jebediah came through, but it was like a Triple J thing.
Yeah.
Special thing that they played at the showgrounds. But otherwise, no one played there.
Yeah.
And we were always like, you know, even as an underage kid, I was like super starved for music, and I travelled down for Big Data to the Gold Coast. But I've always had this like thing, a soft spot for that we should be doing those shows, even if you're going to go there and play to a small crowd. That crowd's going to be way more appreciative than I think a crowd in the city who can see, you know, 10 bands a night if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really important, and I'm super stoked that we're doing it. We kind of had this idea of doing this tour for a couple of years. I think the last proper regional we did was 2019.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. Well, obviously there's 2 years there we couldn't do anything, and then after that, we're like, we've got to just go back and do another big regional run. And yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait, because it feels like a long time since we played a show, even though it was only about 2 months ago.
Yeah. Who came up with the title Weekend Warriors?
I think I did. Well, it's like a bit of.
Is it? I swear it's a common thing, but now everyone's like, what?
Nah,
I think it's
that's
thing,
cool.
Right?
It's a bit of an insider muso thing. So, you know, I watch a lot of YouTube like guitar stuff or pedals or like any gear stuff.
Yeah.
And people talk about, hey, I've been using this stuff, blah 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 blah. You know, I'm just a weekend warrior who goes out and they just play on the weekend. That's the whole idea. Is if you're a weekend warrior, you're not like in a proper touring band. You're just playing weekends down at the bar. So for us, it's like we're the weekend warriors. Yeah.
That's the best. I actually haven't heard that expression before. That's so perfect.
I feel like it's really kind of centered towards the musicians.
Yeah.
You can get on board.
Yeah.
Now you know.
For sure. I think we're all weekend warriors in our own way. Look, thank you so much for chatting with me, and I can't wait to hear what you're working on at the moment. And we'll see you here in Newey on the 13th of March.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.